Hi everyone, my name is Enes and I've been proud and happy user of this Skoda Karoq here for last 4 years. I made 75,000 kilometers with it. I was very happy and it's a great family car. In this video I would like to share numerous benefits of this car and also a couple of issues I faced with it in the last 4 years. So if you're considering buying or leasing such a car, this might be just the right video for you. Few words about the external design. It's indeed on a more traditional side. In this segment, for sure you can find cars with much more, dynamic design or whatever. But for me, it was never an issue. It was more than beautiful enough, and I never had a problem with it. As an SUV car, it has a wide opening and a rather high seat. The seat is now set to 60 centimeters, and which makes entering in a car very easy and smooth. Yeah. The seats are comfortable, they provide good grip, and you can set them rather high, as already mentioned. If you're facing any kind of back pain, this might be the car for you. A few years ago I had a problem with sciatica, when you have a pain in your buttocks along the leg, and it was at some moment so bad that I almost couldn't continue my journey. I just set the seat really high, it changes the angle of the pelvis, and the pain was practically miraculously gone. Really a great benefit. Interior of the car is very simple and practical. In 2023 I checked several other cars in this segment, and once it happened to me when I sat back in this car, I actually had a sigh of relief. It has all the functions that other cars have, but it's just so practically designed, so simple, so homey. Another benefit of this car is optional digital cockpit. It has like two parts, one of those main screens and the one in the middle. You can change them both. You can go from this more classic approach, you change it to this full navigation screen, if that's what you appreciate. You can go to this so-called modern. The black one, this also shows, for example, direction of the navigation in the middle if you're using it. And the so-called rally, which is meant to be used in the sport mode. And the screen has also this internal part, which you can change with this button here, and then you choose between assist and driving data and vehicle status, phone, audio, and back to navigation. Now the quick tip: if you're new to this car, you might have a problem switching the trip counter. In the past we always had a button to press. After you refuel the car, you want to put the trip back to 0, and instead of the button, here's a digital solution. So it's quite hard to find actually when you're a new user of such cars. So I'm going to show you quickly. So you see, you change the middle screen with the scroller to driving data, and then you scroll again to trip, and then you hold this button, press and hold the button, and it will reset to 0. It took me some time to actually figure this out, so I guess it was a good opportunity to show you this quick tip. The next good thing of this car is this large touchscreen infotainment. The icons are big, easy to read, and you can adjust them to your needs. Press and hold and you can move them around. This is how I like it. And normally I prefer this turning knob for a volume, but the responsiveness of the screen is so good that I actually never had a problem adjusting the volume with this touch screen buttons. Nevertheless, of course, I used mostly adjusting volume with this turning knob here on the steering wheel. The car has a navigation system. It takes some time to get used to all these features, but it works just fine, and you can adjust it similar like a smartphone with the pinch zoom. Really practical. And you can also of course set the navigation on the middle screen, if that's your preferred way, and of course also use this scroll to make zoom in, zoom out. Very practical. and useful feature. Most often I used this internal screen for actual navigation and this big one for like a big picture, you know, to see how far did I go, and this combination made it very useful, very practical. If you're on the way with your family, your kids might want to listen to some kiddie-like music, and it's very easy to do the settings. Yeah, see, you can put the sound to the rear seats only, while the adults can talk in front. Inevitably, yeah, everybody will fall asleep, and it's good with one touch. You just put it to the driver, so only the driver can listen to the music, and when everybody is awake again, you just put it back to all and it's back to normal. Very good, very practical feature. I used it a lot. As already mentioned, the car has a rear view camera, and this is really a game changer. Especially if you use car in the city, you know, when you're trying to park it in a tight space, the parking sensors could be beeping already like crazy, but using the camera, you can see there are still some precious centimeters which might help you to put the car in a tight space when, yeah, it might not even seem like possible, but it is. If you use a camera, you can come really close to 3 centimeters to the other car behind you, which can be very helpful. Really, really great feature, game changer. I loved it. The next big benefit is connecting a phone to the car. In my case, it's Apple CarPlay, but of course it could be also Android Auto. As the driving this car is so relaxing, I was mostly listening to audio books or to streaming music, like in my case YouTube Music. The kids were listening to stories, and of course you can also use Google Maps navigation, make phone calls, and so on. Really a blast, a huge added value. The car has a typical Volkswagen DSG shifting gearbox. My previous car had a manual shifting, and using it in a city, you know, we were taking kids to school and back. School was far away, and I really had a feeling that I'm changing these gears like hundreds of times. So this car had to be an automatic, and this really makes driving much easier, much more relaxing. Yeah, you simply put it into D, you know, and practically until you finish your trip, you hardly ever need to touch this selection. Besides D, it has kind of a sport mode also. You just put it back and it's in sport mode. And see, it indicates also on the cockpit, it's S1 now. This means the gears are longer and the car accelerates faster, and when you pull it back, it switches back to normal D. And if you ever get bored, and yeah, this can happen, you can also push it to the side and then change gears by pushing this shifter front and back. Honestly, I never really, I mean, I use this feature here and then, but didn't really work well for me, so I didn't really use it much. But it's an option if you want to, and you can also change gears on these shifting pedals if you have such a steering wheel. The car has all modern driving assistance systems. It will warn you if you're tired. It will read the signs for you. Yeah, if you missed it, it will be written on a cockpit. It can check when you're reversing if any traffic is coming from the side. Yeah? Bicycles, pedestrians, cars, whatever. This can really this can be very helpful. It happened once that the guy came around the corner so quickly I wouldn't even notice him, but the car did and stopped on its own. Yeah? Then it has so-called adaptive cruise control. It not only maintains the speed, but it adjusts the speed if necessary, if there is an obstacle in front of you. It has also so-called lane assist using the camera in this upper part. It checks the lanes, and if it's switched on, and yes, this is also a benefit of this car, you can switch it on or off. In some cars, you cannot even switch it off, and for some drivers this can be disturbing.
So it's very beneficial on a highway, for example. If you switch it on, it will keep you inside of the lanes. And probably the best feature is so-called driver assist. So if you press this button here, you will turn on the drive assist, which combines this adjusting, this active cruise control and the lane assist, and it's actually like a self-driving. It's if you let the steering go, it will actually make all the turnings for you. And the car literally drives on its own, but of course it's not meant to be like this. It's just for your assistance, and in a matter of seconds it will start to protest. But this feature makes driving very, very relaxing and very safe. It happened to me once. Of course I didn't want to fall asleep behind the steering wheel, but it did. It just happened. And it was for a second or two, but the car of course started to go out of the lanes, and the system detected it, put it back in between the lanes, and the movement of the steering wheel woke me up, you know. It was actually a life saver. Yeah, so really great benefit of this car. Another great safety feature of this car is so-called blank spot monitor. You see, if there's a car driving in parallel to you, you might miss it in the blind spot of the mirror, and in this case there's a orange light here, and if you try to change the lane towards the car, it will start blinking and the steering wheel will start vibrating. This is an option you can switch on, and to warn you not to change the lane towards the car driving in parallel to you. Another great feature of this car, and unfortunately not many such cars have it, is drive mode selection. If you press on this button, you have here a couple of choices. Yeah, here is Eco. It's all about, you know, reducing the consumption. Then you have Comfort. You can feel that the car has a little bit more of this up and down movement, but it becomes even more comfortable than it already is in Normal. Yeah, Normal is the one which is preferred, and when you start the car, it always goes to Normal. Yeah, I will say unfortunately it didn't stay in the one that I chose. Yeah, that's one of the minuses in my point of view. And then you have a Sport option. You can actually, it feels really like a different car. The suspension becomes very stiff, and the steering wheel becomes also very hard to move, and you can feel that the car has very little body roll in this Sport mode. Yeah, it's very convenient if you know that you're gonna drive in curvy roads, but honestly I like Comfort more, and I could never drive for a longer period in such setup. Yeah. And also there's some kind of individual in which you can combine. For example, I combine Comfort and economy driving in this individual mode. Really great feature. It really makes you feel like you have more cars in one. Yeah, love it. As I already mentioned, this is a great car for families. See, it has huge door. You can easily put the seats inside. It's very easy to use Isofix. You can reach out to your children, and you know, we had two cars, and they always said they like this car more than their mothers because simply there's more air in it. Yeah, very spacious, very comfortable for kids. Really good. The car also has this optional panoramic roof. It's really a luxury, but it makes a difference. Especially it's convenient for the people sitting behind, because it brings additional light to the car, and you know, it's good for this even more spacious feeling. You can also open the window, but honestly it was quite noisy when you did, so we didn't really use this feature. So additional light, huge benefit. Opening, not so much. Yeah. Another family-friendly feature of this car, and I really loved this part of it, is this big and very useful trunk, or a boot of this car. When we went to holidays, you know, people were really wondering how many things can we actually pack in this thing. And if you're using strollers for children, or we were even using also wheelchairs, for my mom and for my daughter. And it was very easy to transport them because of the height of the trunk. Comparing to the caravan, SUVs trunks are shorter but higher, and you still get the same or even bigger boot space because of that. Really good. This car doesn't have a spare tire, and that's why it gains also additional space. And most Karoqs have actually double floor. This car doesn't have it, but it was never really an issue for me. You can have a double floor, which gives even more practicality to the car. Of course, you can also fold the seats. There's like a lever. You can very easily fold the seats and gain additional space. If you're transporting large objects, very convenient. As you can see, it's not perfectly flat, but this particular car doesn't have a double floor. If you have a double floor, then you get a flat surface. Huge amount of space. Very convenient, very useful. Another feature that adds to practicality of this car is so-called electric tailgate. It has also a sensor, and if you move your leg under the car, it will open. It's very practical if you're carrying a kid or two bags or a big box or whatever. And you see, with the press of the button, it will close. And the note, of course, the sensor with the leg works only if you have a key in your pocket. Otherwise it won't work. Another feature that adds to practicality of the car is a hook. I didn't really use it much, maybe twice per year, but it's a great added value. If you transport bicycles, for a trip. I was towing my motorbike once behind me. If you have a larger amount of stuff to transport, you can hook a trailer to it and so on. Really great stuff. Last but not least is the engine of the car. It's 1.5 TSI with 150 horsepower. It's strong but also economical at the same time. It's 2020 model, and for this model they optimize the consumption. Whenever the car does not need 4 cylinders, it runs on only 2 of them, and in this way it saves noticeable amount of fuel. And the overall consumption was about 6.3 liters. If I was careful, it was even less than 6, and if I was pushing the car over 160 on a highway, it was about 8, I will say. Let's talk about the issues I faced with this car. Probably the biggest issue I faced with it was so-called drive assist unavailable. So this wonderful feature, drive assist or autopilot, when the car drives on its own practically, sometimes it's not available, but only for a few seconds, and then it comes back. But it does it with a ping, like. And if this keeps happening frequently, this becomes really annoying. So it happened to me after like 1 year of the ownership of the car. It turned out that it's a typical common Skoda issue, and if you had any other Skoda car with drive assist feature, you might have this issue. So it was time for regular service at 30,000 kilometers. I told them about it, and honestly I didn't think that they would do anything about it. To my big surprise, they actually changed the steering wheel. So when I picked up the car the following day, it has a new steering wheel, because the source of the problem should be the electronics in the steering wheel. It helped. So for about a year and something, for about 14 months, the issue did not pop up, and then it started reappearing again. I took the car back and I told them about it, and this time they didn't change the steering wheel, but they made a software update. So the car is in warranty, so I don't know how much this costs, but it actually solved the problem. Yeah, so it hardly ever popped up. So if you ever face such an issue, just go to your Skoda dealer, tell them about it, make an appointment, make software update, and the issue will be resolved. The next issue that I faced several times is that there was no connection between the phone and a car. You want to open the Apple CarPlay and it's written device not responsive. I honestly think it's more of a phone issue than a car, but nevertheless the solution was simple. I always went to my phone, to settings, I switched off the Bluetooth, switched it back on, connected to the car, and then when I started the Apple CarPlay, it always worked. Probably the weirdest thing or the weirdest issue I faced with this car was this electric tailgate closing on its own. It happened quite recently. I was putting some stuff in the trunk and the door just started to close on their own without me pressing a button. I reopened them, I went around the car to get some more stuff, and they closed one more time, just on their own. And I reopened them one more time and it was fine. So yeah, it was really strange. It was some kind of a glitch. It was bad weather. Maybe it has kind of influence on the sensors or whatever. And such issue occurred, let's say, twice in 4 years. What I also found a little bit inconvenient, if you start the car, put it in reverse, start reversing, quite often this internet connectivity page pops up while you're still reversing. Like this, exactly. See, this shouldn't have happened while I'm still reversing. And now, see, I have to put the shifter to P and back to R. This is just the software that needs to be optimized. Yeah, minor issue, but it was kind of annoying. The car has also wireless charging, yeah, which is a great feature. You can charge your phone wirelessly while driving. Nevertheless, my phone got always rather warm, more than using other wireless chargers, so I didn't really use this feature often. Like many modern cars, also this Karoq has an area where this piano lock is used. And yeah, I agree with everybody who says that this is terrible, and it is, you know. It's unbelievably sensitive to scratches. You know, as I said, I didn't want to charge my phone wirelessly, so I just put it here. And because of the movement of the car, and the phone was also moving a little bit, and that was already enough to scratch this surface. So most of this time, yeah, I just had something here, or I kept it open like this or whatever, not to scratch it even further. So yeah, the less piano lock, the better. This wonderful engine has one flaw also, we could say. It consumes oil, even if it's brand new. So it might happen that every here and then you will have a warning, check your oil level. But when it happens, it's getting close to the minimum and there's no panic. But eventually you should add some oil. Just as information, I recently added some oil. It was after 14,000 after a service. I added 0.6 liter and I had a feeling it could be a little bit more. So let's say 0.7 liters on 14,000 kilometers. Yeah, just something to consider. It was my honest review of Skoda Karoq after 4 years of use. Although I did face certain issues with it, I strongly believe it's a great family car and I would definitely recommend it. If you found this video useful, please click the like button so it can reach more people who might be interested in such a car. Anyway, I wish you a lot of happy kilometers, great time. Thank you for your attention. Bye bye.